everybody, Rick Rood here from Transforming Teachers, Transforming Education. All right, let's get right down to it. Have you ever wondered what the secret to happiness is? Have you ever wondered what that secret sauce is that some people have to glide through life? I'm here to tell you that I don't have the definitive answer to that. If I did, I'd probably be a billionaire. But what I will tell you is one of the secret ingredients that I am sure of. And what if I told you that this secret ingredient not only applies to you, but it's also super important to your students and their sense of well-being? What if I told you this one ingredient is super simple? In fact, so simple that it's often dismissed or overlooked. And what if I told you that not only is it a key ingredient to being happy, but it's also a necessary component of what kids need to develop, not just socially and emotionally, but physically and cognitively as well? What if I told you that it's part of the bedrock of learning new knowledge, and it's also the grease that deepens understanding and wisdom? You want to know what it is? It's play. And it's not just me that says this. The American Association of Pediatrics, in a recent position paper, has affirmed that play is a significant contributor to the cognitive, social, emotional, and physical development of children and youth. That's a direct quote, not mine. Play is so important that the United Nations High Commission on Human Rights has declared play as a basic human right of all children. So the question then becomes, how do we as teachers support play for our students? And how can we leverage the benefits of play? It's important to have an understanding of what play exactly is. So one of our play experts, Dr. Peter Gray, a research professor at Boston College, he says that the definition of play resides in internal motivation and attitude. It's not really about any overt or specific behavior. According to Gray's observations and research, there are 5 fundamentals that define play. So first off, play is self-directed and self-chosen. It's an activity that's entered into willingly, with the obverse also being true. Players can choose when they want to stop playing. Second rule, play is engaged in for the sake of play itself. While there may be an external end goal, play is not concerned with taking the shortest, most efficient route to that goal. The psychological payoff for play isn't about a goal at all. It's all about engaging in play itself. Third, Dr. Gray points out that play is constrained by rules, but not the rules of physics or even the rules of any institution, sometimes not even the rules of common sense. Really, play is constrained by rules of the mind invented by the mind and tacitly agreed upon if more than one person is involved in the play. Fourth, play has a characteristic or quality of imagination or non-reality. For instance, to ride a horse in real life, you would need a horse. But when you're playing, this requirement is waived. The human ability to create fictional worlds with invented rules can be seen in children as young as 2. Lastly, Dr. Gray proposes that play requires an active, alert state of mind, but not one that becomes stressed. Play is active. It's not just sitting back and absorbing outside stimuli. It's active participation. It's non-stressful because it isn't guided by outside goals and demands. It exists free of drives and pressures that could create stress. So, now that we know a little about the characteristics of play, let's take a look at some of the different types of play and see where they fit in the educational picture for the whole child. There is what we call object play. This is pretty much what it sounds like. It happens when we interact with an object, either to experience it in a sensory motor way, or think about playing around with a soccer ball and experimenting with new ways and unique ways to dribble it, or when we use object as symbols, like using a banana for a telephone or a random stick as a gun or a sword. Object play helps develop large and fine motor skills. It facilitates an intuitive exploration of physics and other observational sciences, and it fosters higher level representational thought. Wow. Another type of play is physical play, or what may be called rough and tumble play. This type of play can be observed in challenging one's physical abilities, maybe on the play structure or perhaps through tumbling. It can also involve play fighting. A lot of teachers cringe over this type of play. We've all been conditioned to, at all costs, keep kids safe above all else. However, I think we've been doing it all wrong on this account. Physical or rough and tumble play is exactly the type of play where developing bodies learn to manage risk and explore the full range of their movement that their bodies are capable of. In fact, studies have shown that because we've cracked down on this type of play, kids, as they grow, they're more susceptible to injuries precisely because they haven't been able to learn through play how to manage physical risks or how to pay attention to messages from their own body. Rough and tumble play, all but outlawed on school grounds these days, actually teaches social emotional skills in a safe play-based environment. Things like communication, negotiation, emotional intelligence. It encourages risk-taking and develops the acquisition and development of empathy. Recently, the schools of the United Kingdom have changed their stance on physical play. They recognize its importance, releasing a statement that now their goal is not to eliminate risk. Then there's the category of outdoor play. Outdoor play is important as it's been shown to be key to improving the integration of sensory skills. This alone should make recess a key and indispensable part of each student's school day. Now, recent research has also shown that symptoms and outward expressions of ADHD are dramatically reduced when children and youth spend significant time in green outdoor settings through the day. Now, if all this weren't enough, there is the aspect of social play. Play is one of the ways children learn to develop healthily along social emotional scale. Scientists track the social aspect of play from solitary play to parallel play, where children play alongside each other, learning and mimicking each other, but not actually playing together, to the most advanced level of social play, which is cooperative play. In the much safer environment of play, children and youth are able to try on personas. They're able to experiment with how social custom and mores work, and they're able to develop social and emotional strategies that help them grow and function. You remember when we talked about that aspect of play that was rooted in non-reality? Social play along these lines allow children of all developmental levels to learn experientially as to what works and what doesn't socially, in an arena that has a lower stress level than real life because it isn't tied to any specific outcome or object except the play itself. As teachers, here's a huge opportunity, not to interrupt play and make it not play by interfering, but rather to serve as a reflection coach to children and youth and have them experiment and find their own answers to social and emotional questions. The role of the teacher when it comes to the play of children and youth is more of an outside observer / reflection partner / coach. First off, it's important for us to be there for the student's emotional safety, being vigilant for bullying and keeping the norm of the social emotional safety net. However, in our role as the safety keeper, we also must have a deeper understanding of allowable risk-taking in social emotional settings. Remember that tenet of play we talked about that stipulates the fantasy factor of play. Sometimes children and youth will veer towards what looks like emotional riskiness, when in fact, it's actually part of the play. As you have more experience in observing and coaching play, you'll develop a feel for when emotional safety is actually being threatened and when it's just a part of the playing. Even quickly and unobtrusively as possible, just checking in with the play participants with something like, hey, I heard some raised voices, is everything okay? That can settle the matter right there. Remember, one of the benefits of play is the ability to take risks within a safer setting than real life. So in short, be on the lookout for social emotional safety, but don't cut off students' abilities to take risks and develop their social emotional learning muscle. Secondly, maybe most importantly, the teacher's role as an observational mentor or coach comes into play. One of the traits of an experienced coach is to help the coachee reflect and arrive at their own conclusions and thought transformations. Now, as teachers, often we just want to jump into situations and we want to fix things for our students. We have this urge around play coaching, but we need to remember that our students are using this play experience to grow and mature. So we serve as guides. When we approach things too didactically, it tends to backfire. If after observing a student's play, we come in and tell that student, see, this is what it all means, and you shouldn't act like that, or the equivalent, we've basically just cut all communication with that student and have shut down their desire and ability to think for themselves. It's much better to take an approach that asks the students questions. Much in line with the Socratic method, asking open-ended questions that has the students reflecting on their own experience is a much more valuable driver of social emotional growth than is a top-down, here's what it all means kind of remark. Yeah, your student will probably listen to you, but in doing so, they'll have stopped using their own sense of internal inquiry, and they've missed a chance to strengthen their own social emotional development. So remember, your role as a guide is to open up doors for your students so that they can walk through them. The more you use your experience to guide students to their own understandings and their own conclusions, the greater the impact that you will have on their social emotional development. One of the major problems that play faces today is that educators put too many restrictions on students' play. Now, this is going to sound like a total rebel position, but really, I am disheartened when I see what's going on in schools and after-school programs today. Nowadays, it seems like every school or program I talk to has a list about a mile long of don'ts when it comes to play. So, just as an example, here's some actual rules that I've run across in the past few years. Don't run on the concrete. No throwing balls except on the grass. No pretend gunplay. No chasing. Go down the slide only, and then only feet first. No play fighting. Here's a great one. No touching others. Really? And there's more. I won't go into them because I feel like I could do a comedy routine just on these ones alone. No running on the blacktop or balls on the blacktop. How do you play basketball? With a pretend ball and make sure everybody watches and no one touches each other? Or maybe this school has invented a basketball court on the grass. Oh, wait, no, they haven't. No touching others? This sends a really bad message to our young kids. It tells them that all touching is bad or somehow verboten. When pediatric experts have confirmed through research that touch is absolutely necessary for proper physical, social, and emotional growth and development, we're going and telling kids just the opposite. No play fighting? We already covered this one. We know that it's important in developing negotiating skills, empathy, and it informs appropriate risk-taking. And as for going down the slide only, I'll just refer to you a book that I absolutely love by parent educator Heather Schumacher. In fact, I'll put a link to it in the description below. The book is called It's Okay to Go Up the Slide and Other Renegade Rules. It's really a call to sanity in today's oversensitized schoolyards. Look, I get the whole threat of lawsuits and such in today's society. America has become overly litigious, and it's the children and youth who are suffering. My recommendation, always err on the side of kids' play. Like, if you're like many teachers today, you might face opposition from your principal or director. But then educate yourself further about play and become a play advocate. In fact, the United States Play Coalition has a website and an annual conference dedicated to understanding the importance of play and advocating for a greater understanding of the benefits of play. We've covered a lot today. We've talked the whole time about play, looking at what it is exactly. We looked at Peter Gray's 5 qualities of what makes play, play, and we also took an overview of different types of play. What you should be coming away with today is a renewed understanding of the importance of play and what our role as teachers should be in terms of facilitating play and providing opportunities. Feel free to ask questions here in the group or start a conversation of your own about why you think play is important. And as you head out to play this week, always keep in mind that what you do is important and how you show up for your students matters. And together, we're transforming education. Now get out there and play.